Hi guys, I don't know why it's so hard for me to record this intro. It's like the sixth attempt of recording it, and I know I should. My problems would be solved if I just wrote a script, but I don't want to. I'm pretty excited about these episodes because I'm going to be showing you guys my project called Ego Trip. I created it in 2016, and for those of you who don't know, we have like a challenge. We as illustrators and artists on the internet and stuff, we have this challenge every October where the goal of the challenge is to draw one inked drawing per day during all the days of October. And I always found it really hard to come up with ideas of what to draw. So I created like this story, and I decided to like draw a kind of storyboard of this story. I guess you can see it as an illustrated story. I'm not quite sure. I came up with this story in 2016, and then in 2017 I did like sequel. And last year I was like, you know what? My style evolved so much, so I started to do some drawings. I did the first 11 illustrations of the project. I redid the illustrations from 2016, and I intend to redraw all the 62 illustrations. So it's a long project. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to finish it because I have a lot of other projects also that I'm doing at the same time because I'm you know, I hate myself, I think. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys what I have done and what I'm doing, and we are going to talk a little bit more about the project. So hi, voiceover Chris here, and I'm just showing you guys the old drawings that I did for the challenge, and these are the drawings that I want to redo, all of them. So I think now let's just let the video go on while I tell you why being creative sucks. I guess.
Miss you. If it's fine, you, I'll take the passenger seat. If it's fine, you, I'll take.
I want to talk to you guys about this urge to create something, because that's a thing that kind of I grew up with this actually. I guess after watching so much television, so many animations, and I was also pretty impressed and moved by movies and series and animations. So I guess after a while I just got tired of just watching and I wanted to create. So by the time I was like 14, 15, I just started to write a lot. All my ideas come from music. I'm not a music expert, and I don't really know how to say a music style that I like, because there's a lot of stuff that I like. By the way, the music that inspired this project is of Monsters and Men Alligator. So the Fever Dreaming theme, I guess, applies a lot with the idea of this project, because it comes from a meditation exercise where you visualize yourself within yourself, like walking around your insides and checking how things are.
No, making eyes, making me stare. Oh. Well, I don't know your name, but can I call you Mona Lisa? I cannot put your picture on my wall. I just wanna know, can I be with you?
As I grew up, I just started to create stories, and I don't know, it's just I'm pretty emotionally closed. So the only way I could like put my feelings out there was through stories and creating stories and writing and stuff like that. Brazil, we don't really have this possibility to like make a living out of creating stories, because we don't have like a culture that really values fiction unless you write soap operas or stuff like that. And that wasn't what I really liked. Of course, market changed over the years. I'm talking about like the 90s. So I didn't really see how I could, because I didn't dream big enough. That's the thing. I didn't dream big enough. So I guess after a while I just thought I should be more realistic and go study like advertising and stop dreaming about these things. But fortunately for me, I met some dreamers that really wanted to work with comic books, and they really helped me see this possibility of working with comic books. So it just happened and I started to working, but I was too focused on coloring, and it was a period in my life where I didn't really was focusing on my own career. I was more worried about others' career. I was helping others achieve their goals, and I just forgot about my own goals. And after I realized that, I was like, how can I make my dreams like of creating and publishing things that I wrote, how can I make these things come true, you know? So in 2013 I did like a crowdfunding that we have here in Brazil, and I decided to start writing, like showing people that I can write, doing a book about color theory, because at that point I was really known for my color work, and I figured that if I just started doing things that were more creator owned, maybe people wouldn't be really interested. And that was a mistake on my part, even though I really loved writing the use of color. I only have it in Portuguese, by the way, sorry about that. I really wish I could have time and money enough to translate it into English and rewriting this book, but unfortunately I think it's a future project that I have to find a way of doing it. So I wanted to show people that I could write while I was writing a book about color theory. And it was a really interesting experience, because I didn't want my book to be boring as the books I read of colors in college, because they're so boring. The color theory books are awful. And so I just started writing in a really casual way, and people loved it. And there's a lot of colleges here in Brazil that use my book as a color intro guide or something, because it's really a kind of a colors for dummies kind of book, and I really had fun doing it. The only thing is that here in Brazil is really hard. Publishers don't finance pre-production of any project. They just want the book ready, they will print it, and then you earn royalties or not. So because here the market's really tiny, and publishers wouldn't make it if they just, you know, pay in advance or something.
Standing by the wall, what a picture of elegance. Writing on the stall, phone number, such a gentleman. Who you gonna call, baby? I've been waiting for you. We don't have to talk, we can sit still. Reticence, corner of my eye. What a wonderful cardigan, slipping out my mouth, baby. I've been waiting for you.
I started with the use of color, and it was fun, I loved it. But after a while, I just wanted to do some fiction stuff, and I went through a phase where I started to do like my own projects, my own comic books, and I found amazing people that would help me with it, and amazing artists like Sulamun and Erika Awanu that for some reason that I don't know, they said yes, and they illustrated my project called Dirty Paws. That it's also of Monsters and Men music that inspired it. So I have 4 issues of it, but with the pandemic I couldn't really go through it because I was paying from my own pocket the artists. So I will probably gonna continue the story as a romance, as a novel. I don't know how you say it in English, but it's not gonna be a comic book anymore, at least for now. And I just want to say that this part of creating is so frustrating and it's so sad, because all the projects are really special for the ones who are creating it. And to see that people are having a hard time making it come true, it's really unmotivating, you know? And that's why I started to do these YouTube videos, because after a while it's just so hard to do things without any financing, without, you know, any time, because after a while your job just takes all the time out of your life. At the end of the day, all you can do is rest, and you can't even think about working on other stuff, even if it is your own stuff. So it's really hard to manage all that, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed.
I get so nervous when I think of you. Nothing that I can do. Radio on.
And there's another detail with me, is that the stories I write, they are pretty different from the stories I colored. So everyone that follows me because of my coloring work, they are not really the target audience of my created own stuff, because it's not about superheroes. That's why I decided to do like a channel that would be in English, and I'm going to start from scratch, trying to create an audience for my stuff, to see if they like it. You guys, you know. It sucks working like this after a while, because we are working for free. We are working because we can't stop creating. It's like a thing that makes us nervous. If we don't create, if we don't show what we create, it just, I don't know, it's like there's something stuck in our throats, you know. That's why we create. I mean, that's why I create. I don't know about the other guys. I'm speaking on behalf of myself only. I really like doing this kind of stuff. I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm doing something with my life, you know, because when I create the story, I'm not creating a story just for you guys to read it and to think something of it. I always want to contribute some way with my stories, you know. I want people to feel things, or maybe having an insight to solving some problem or some conflict, or understanding themselves, or what can they do to have a better life or something. I don't know, I may be being too deep with this, I'm not sure.
I want is you. It takes two.
I think that's it. That's why I create. I create because I want to get things out of my chest, and I want to help people some way with some, I don't know, some nice stories, like giving them something to think about and to feel good about. And that's it. So not being able to do it with this pandemic, I didn't really do much of my own stuff, and it didn't work so well for me because I felt really empty while I wasn't doing my own stuff. Of course, the main goal of this channel is not like making money for my projects. It's actually a way for me to have a kind of excuse to finally do them, you know? Just, I think the attention that I have to give to the projects in order to make videos will help me do them faster, I guess. I so don't have things figured out for me yet. I'm not sure if these projects will help with my frustration, my creative frustration, or my professional frustration, because I've been coloring for a long time, and I'm thinking that maybe it's time for me to move on from coloring, but I'm not really sure yet where to go and if I will be able to go anywhere. It's a really scary feeling that maybe I won't be able to do the thing that I spent like 20 years of my life being better at, and now I'm just like, I don't know, I achieved all that I could achieve, and now I have to move on with almost 40 years old, and it's really scary, guys, but that's life. So I think eventually things will work out, or not. Yeah, I mean, I just spoke non-stop for this entire thing. I'm going to just leave you guys with the rest of the drawing. I think I said all the stuff that I wanted to say. So let's just see how this drawing turned out.
More than both of us could afford. Wave goodbye in the dark.
We are almost done with this video, but I can't let it end without saying thank you for those who watched it until the end. Please leave a comment if you want to say something about what I just spoke here. Also like and subscribe if you want, and if you want to be aware of my new videos, just click on the notification button. I can't really promise like regular videos, but I can promise you that I will be working hard on each and every one of them. So I think that's it. Bye guys.